Hi everyone, it's Jen again. I'm just checking back in for my weekly updates. Let you guys know how things have been going with my projects, and things have been pretty busy at work. I've been pretty busy with freelance work as well. So my progress on my game is probably not as much as it's been in the past, but I do still try to at least work on it for a few minutes every day, so we're still making some progress, which is better than none. Last time I had made some pretty big progress with getting the Warfare campaign started, and this week I have been working on the character bond conversations. So once the player reaches Brookhaven and they unlock the trading district, there is some options here that were currently not implemented, being the bestiary and the local market. These two locations will be active with the new update. The bestiary will not have pets available yet, but there is some story moments that are going to be unlocked in the bestiary. Probably the pet system I'm going to work on towards like the next big update. The local market is going to have two items available. One that is going to be an item for unlocking friendship, and the other is going to be for unlocking the romance routes. I don't know how many people actually explore any of the friendship routes in my games. I just feel personally very convicted that that's something I want to offer the player, because I want to normalize the idea of having intimate relationships with people that are not based on physical attraction or romance. I think that there's a lot of missed opportunities to make meaningful, deep, and really wonderful connections with people, because people have a hard time appreciating how friendships and just getting to know somebody as a person, how just emotionally satisfying that is, and how important that is to have that emotional support, especially as you grow older and it becomes harder to meet new people and meet like-minded people. Friendships that can endure, decades are just as important to me personally as like family and my significant other. So, and they're hard to find and to keep and to maintain. So I don't want the player to ever like miss out on the opportunity to get to know one of the characters just because they don't want to be in a romantic relationship with that character. I think that they should still have the opportunity to learn about that character and that character's story, because I do put a lot of thought into kind of like the story behind each character, and like what makes them kind of like think the way they think and talk the way they talk and act the way they act. And so I want the player to be able to have access to understanding the character a little bit better, without having to romance them or be locked into a romance route with them. So those types of things are probably always going to be available in my games, even though it creates like twice as much work for me. And whether or not people actually ever choose the friendship routes is probably way less than the romance routes, but I'm just gonna keep on throwing them out there. So when the player selects to purchase it, the shopkeeper is going to explain to them, what this item is for, before you confirm that you want it. And you can buy as many of these as you want, because you can offer a gift to more than one companion. So once you gift them, you won't be able to gift them a different gift. Like once you gift them the friendship token, you'll be locked into a friendship route with them, and you won't be able to give them like another gift. but you can make friends with as many of the elite units as you want, or make romance with as many of the elite units as you want. So you can buy as many of these items. I didn't make a separate inventory screen for the items because currently these are the only items that the player would keep track of in the game. So I just added it to their player sheet. I may end up having to make a separate inventory screen at some point, but right now this whole tab system is getting a bit cluttered, as you will be able to see once you start getting into the warfare system. As this is getting pretty filled up, so I don't want to make a separate inventory tag if I don't need to. Once you have the items, you can then go to talk with your companions, and as long as they are bond level 4, they will you'll have the option to gift them that. So once you offer the gift, it will still give you another option to confirm before you're locked into that route with them. So you have, hopefully the player will not get stuck in a relationship type that they do not want, because once you do that final confirmation, you will be stuck in that relationship. But like if you back out of it and then you want to back into it again, you can. So you still have the option to do that. I did go ahead and start making these new sprites for the friendship and romance routes. Originally, in my original plans, I didn't have any plan, I guess, of making new sprites again, but as I was like writing the scripts for these conversations, I just felt like the card sprite was not conversational enough looking, and I hesitate to use the word intimate because I feel like that's kind of a loaded term. But like even in the friendship routes, getting to know the character more deeply and having kind of more, I guess, less casual kind of conversations to get to know them a little bit more at their core. Like that's what I would consider like to still fall under the umbrella of an intimate conversation. So I wanted the sprites to kind of reflect that, and so I did go with a more traditional presentation of the sprites for these extra story moments. So this being kind of more the standard visual novel kind of like presentation with like a upper body sprite and the full background and the transparency layer, so that you can see the background behind the sprite. Originally, I wanted to try to avoid having these movie files with the masks, because it seems like even with the setting the frame drops to false on some lower end computers, these two layers can get desynced and you can get a little bit of a flickering effect. So I was really only using these movie sprites for like these card animations where I didn't have to have the two different layers synced up together. And then the sprites where I needed transparency, I was using PNGs. But I tried using PNGs for these sprites and they just came out too choppy for my taste. To get kind of a more subtle looking expression, I wanted more of the smoothness of like the 30 frames per second, and having 30 frames a second with programming the PNGs is a lot of frames. Like, this is just a, 3-second loop, and it's 90 frames. So thinking about having to dump 90 images for this one loop, this one expression for each one of the elite units is just like, I don't want to program that. I don't want it taking up that much space in my game. So I went ahead and kind of, I guess, bit the bullet to do the transparent movie files. And if any of you have questions on like how to do that in RenPy, I have a separate video for that, which I'll link in the description below. So I ended up animating these characters twice, basically because I tried to do them as a PNG sequence first and exported at a lower frame rate, and I just wasn't happy with how that looks. So I ended up reanimating them at with a higher frame rate in mind for both Katner and Ruin. So I only got those 2 sprites done this week when I kind of had goals to do more than that, but that's life, and hopefully I'm still on track for getting this update that I'm planning released sometime in April. That's my hope. So once you actually confirm like the relationship with the companion by giving them the item, then the companion will invite you to meet them someplace, at a unique location. So in this case with Ruin, he is going to invite the protagonist to meet them at the Temple of Wind. So then once we go back to the Temple of Wind, now we're going to have a new option that wasn't there before to meet with the companion. And then this is when the extra story is unlocked. So these stories are completely optional for the player. You don't have to gift your companions. You don't have to unlock any of these ongoing storylines with them. You don't gain any additional like combat bonuses currently by participating in these these extra side stories. They're just purely for the player's just interest, to an activity for them to do if they so desire. But if you're not interested in any of the character stories or some of the character stories, you don't miss out on anything by doing it. I don't want to force the player to have to click, and skip through a bunch of dialogue that they don't care about. So that is why I didn't attach anything extra to these story moments. So the other thing that I did decide to do, since I was making new sprites anyways, is I did decide to go ahead and kind of make their costume a little bit different, a little bit more simple, like they kind of are just more casual and outside of combat. So if they were wearing some type of an undershirt or something to their armor, or in the case for Ruin, this is kind of what I imagine he would be wearing under his armor, and his with Katner, he just kind of took off his vest and his hat. And I chose to have them take off their headgear also because I felt like it would be easier to show their the subtleties of their expressions easier without like their helmets or their hats on. Which, just on another like side design note, I did make a conscious effort to try to give every single character some type of hair dress, hair, hat, helmet, hair dressing of some kind, just as a personal challenge, to try to give that character design a little bit more personality. And kind of historically, I think that hats are underrepresented in a lot of like anime style fantasy character designs, because they were such an important part of like class signifier for many different cultures for a really long time. So I wanted to just give myself that like kind of mental note to like, oh, put them in a hat or give them something to put on their head, just as a personal challenge, and then just as a way of kind of like exploring costume design a little bit more. Well, that is pretty much all that I had to say for this week. So I hope that you are having a good week, and good luck with any of your projects or work or just life that you are having. If you are doing some type of creative endeavor, please don't forget to enjoy the process, and thanks again for watching. Take care.